been Linda Elsegood, founder of the LDN Research Trust. It has been my honour to interview LDN researchers, prescribers, pharmacists and patients from around the world for many conditions. Thank you for joining us. I'd like to introduce Dr. Curt Maxwell from the US. He has his office in Mexico and he's originally from New Zealand. Thank you for joining me today, Curt.
Sure, happy to.
Thank you. Could you tell us when you first heard about LDN?
Oh boy, man, it must have been more than 10 years ago at least. I'm not sure where I heard it, Linda, but it might have been in the Townsend letter, but I'm just really not sure. I got a couple of books written about. I've got one book exclusively written about low dose naltrexone, then I've got another book that mentions it. So I'm not really sure where I heard about it. It's been quite some years. The other book is Honest Medicine with Julia Chopik. She mentions it in that. But yeah, I'm not sure. To start with, I was ordering the low dose naltrexone from compounding pharmacists, and then I found out how to do this one where you get the 50 milligram pharmaceutical naltrexone, and we get this little brown bottle. That's what I ship out now, little brown bottle and a syringe, and you fill it up to 50 milliliters with distilled water, and then you put one 50 milligram pill in. So when it's dissolved, now you got 1 milliliter is 1 milligram. And that's what we do now. We don't get it from compounding pharmacies anymore. It's cheaper that way. It's a lot cheaper. We send it out for about $150 for almost a year's supply, which is not bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What are you prescribing LDN for? What conditions?
Well, I got a really good cancer program, so I'm putting everybody with cancer on it, and I'm also putting everybody with any autoimmune conditions. Naturally, anything at all that suggests autoimmune, and then, like fibromyalgia, that's really common. That can really be helped by low-dose naltrexone. And also, I suggest that almost every older person can benefit from low-dose naltrexone because it releases endorphins. And endorphins, as we get older, the tendency is to decrease endorphins, and older people feel pain a lot more. So I found out that low-dose naltrexone means that it releases endorphins. People don't feel as much pain. And so, my thing that I'm doing most of the time is pain management. I use prolotherapy, and I use German neural therapy. And so that's the main part of my practice. And there's an awful lot of immune system problems, probably more and more happening, so that's what I use it for.
Mm-hmm. Have you got any case studies that you could think of that you could share with us?
You see, the thing about the low dose naltrexone is I seldom ever put them on just low dose naltrexone. So the only one I've really got was at the Yuma Fair last year in March. I was introduced to this guy, and he asked me if I could do anything for his psoriasis. And so I said, well, I haven't had any first-hand experience, but, it's kind of considered like an autoimmune disease in a way, and it wouldn't hurt trying it, So he got some from me, and I didn't hear from him until December. So that was March until December, because sometimes low-dose naltrexone takes a while to work, But anyway, he sent me 2 pictures, and there was a real bad psoriasis in the first picture. In the second picture, the skin was pretty clear. So that was the most dramatic thing I've seen with the low dose naltrexone. Just pretty dramatic. He said, he still got the psoriasis, but maybe a third of what he had, and way improved. So that was pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, for example, when you use LDN in cancer, what other drugs are you using alongside of the LDN?
Well, we use a very comprehensive program. Of course, in Mexico, we can use Laetrile, and we kind of space that Ronald Reagan, when he got colon cancer, he went to see Hans Nieper in Germany, and so Hans Nieper was a big fan of Laetrile and carnivore, and we use high dose emulsified vitamin A, and we use vitamin C. Well, we see when we bring them in, we do 12 days of IVs, and the first one we do is ultraviolet blood irradiation with ozone. We take 60 cc of blood out, put it in the IV bag, put 60 cc of ozone, and then drip it through the ultraviolet machine. So the cannula, the glass tube that runs through the machine, it makes the blood spin, so it pretty well gets irradiated totally. And then we follow that up with vitamin C and 9 grams of Laetrile, and then we follow that up by a Myers cocktail, which is like B vitamins and magnesium chloride and dexpenthenol and folic acid and B12, and then we follow that up by hydrogen peroxide and DMSO. And so we bring them in for 12 days, and then I send them for a very comprehensive blood workup where they pull out about 12 vials of blood. So after we get the blood back from the lab, we send it up to another lab in Colorado, and the PhD lady up there puts it in her computer, so we get a report back with all the metabolic and nutritional problems. So we design a custom supplement or medication. Almost everybody with cancer, of course, I put them on low dose Naltrexone, but I put them on low dose metformin as well, because metformin's got fantastic anti-cancer properties as well. And so just depending on what the individual case is, I use Cantron, which is another standalone treatment. We use Hoxy formula, or in the U.S. it's illegal, so it's called Hoxy-like formula. Put them on that, and put them on a pretty comprehensive program. So we have very, very good success with that. Stage 4 ovarian cancer gone, and liver cancer, melanoma liver cancer maintained, so it's not progressing, and things like that. It's pretty good program.
Mm-hmm. And you talked about pain. What other cocktail do you use for pain alongside of LDN? Well,
I use the most common thing that I use for pain is I use what's called intraneural therapy was developed in South Africa by a doctor called Paul Kate Pybus, and it's very hard to find any practitioners that know that now. But we use local anesthetic. I use 0.5% lidocaine. Of course, most people think that local anesthetic's just temporary numbing, but the Europeans, particularly the Germans, like neural therapy, have used that for its tissue normalizing and stabilizing ability since the 1920s. But here's the thing that everybody should know too. If you punch anything into Google and you look at Wikipedia, I found out about 3 weeks ago, is controlled by one guy, and he's very, very mainstream. And so anything that is an all alternative, he pretty well labels as quackery. So the interesting thing is when you look at neural therapy in Wikipedia, he's going to tell you it's unproven and it's quackery and blah blah blah, which is just ridiculous. So you have to take everything with Wikipedia with a grain of salt and not believe too much of it. So we have tremendous success, and of course we use prolotherapy, which has been around since the 40s, and Dr. Hackett developed that. He found that if you inject an irritant, and we use dextrose like sugar, if you inject an irritant into a ligament bed, a tendon bed, or into a joint, it causes what's called a sterile inflammation, and it lays down new tissue. So we do a lot of knees, a lot of shoulders, rebuild a lot of knees. You can save them from being replaced. And sacroiliac joints, or anything that needs rebuilding, wrists, ankles, things, any joints. And so that's what I'm mostly doing all day. And I suggest to people that they go take the comprehensive blood work, and so some do, and that's usually, or if they come in and they've got autoimmune disease, they fill out a case history, and if they got Parkinsons, multiple sclerosis, or any autoimmune disease, I suggest low dose Naltrexone to them.
That's interesting. You said Parkinson's disease. What do you use for Parkinson's disease normally with LDN? I know you do the blood work, but would you say there's any one particular thing that you use alongside of LDN?
Yeah, CoQ10 in high doses is pretty expensive, but like 16,000 milligrams of CoQ10 a day, ubiquinol CoQ10. To tell you the truth, I haven't followed up on any of it. I mean, some people come back and some people don't. Some people send me emails and tell me how much they've improved, but that's what I'm doing. Is I'm just suggesting the ubiquinol and the low dose naltrexone to any person with Parkinson's.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Multiple sclerosis seems to have the best results with low dose naltrexone, but of course, Dr. Klenner, before low dose naltrexone came along, he was pretty well curing people with multiple sclerosis with his B vitamins and B12 and calf liver extract and things like that. So that's interesting. I always talk to MS people. We have one feedback about a lady that I told whose husband had rheumatoid arthritis, and I suggested low-dose naltrexone. She went back to Ontario, and she told me when she came in the following season that she'd seen this lady pushing a 15-year-old daughter with multiple sclerosis into the grocery store, and she told her about low-dose naltrexone. And see, most neurologists won't even talk about it. They won't prescribe it, but she told her neurologist, and he prescribed low-dose naltrexone to this girl, and about 3 weeks later she was out of a wheelchair walking around, which was pretty impressive, pretty fantastic when it can work that fast. But from what I hear is that low-dose naltrexone sometimes takes several months to working, which is okay because you're not going to stop it anyway, so just keep taking it,
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Well, that's very, very interesting. Thank you very much for sharing your experience with us.
Okay, Linda. Anytime. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay?
Do you have LDN experience to share? If so, please email me, linda@ldnrt.org. I look forward to hearing from you.